Hello and welcome to Jocks TV. You join me for the second episode in our series of A Moment in Time, where we chat to a well-known Posterboy hero. I'm Fra McCullough, and joining me to chat with this evening's guest is Hugh Lyons. Well, Hugh.
How are you, Fra?
Things all good. Tonight we are joined by a former player, a manager, a selector, a county star, and lots in between. Someone said to me during the week, he was the first superstar of the club, and he was a poster boy in the club also. We're meeting this evening for a chat, the one and only Mr. Martin Morgan. Well, Martin, how's things?
Grand Frank, yourself?
Not too bad, not too bad. Great to have you on. Thanks very much for joining.
That was some introduction. I wouldn't be used to that.
A bit modest, was it?
Yeah. I'm not saying much about that.
That's how you perceive Posterboy of Monster Voice. First one.
Very good, Fat. Very good.
No, so we'll crack on into it anyway. So, Martin, just looking to get a background, and I suppose we'd start off with when you were a wee nipper. What was your earliest memories of growing up, either in the parish of Posterboy or at the club of Naomh Mairtin?
Yeah, look, I just barely remember, first of all, going to school actually in Ballymakenny School. I was just there for a wee while before the new school opened in Hairston. And that was some change around from going from our school that had 2 classrooms into this bigger school, But there were fond memories, I enjoyed school most of the time at that, And so then we used to just play football at home in the yard with my father in the evening times after milking that. We couldn't wait till he was finished. He would start kicking balls in the yard for an hour or so after milking that, And we used to just practice kicking the ball up on the roof and catching it coming down. We would be breaking slates, he'd be giving out to us. That was the damn thing those days,
Right.
Sorry?
No, go ahead.
Yeah, as regards the Martins, my earliest memory of the Martins was standing behind the road goals. And I just vaguely remember Harry Brennan in the goals. And I don't know who they were playing against, but this shot, some guy on the other team took a shot at Harry. I thought it was a great shot, and Harry saved, and I thought it was saved of the year. I was only a young flick, but I remember, I think Paddy Briscoe would have been playing, and Ollie Smith, those guys were playing it, But that's probably just the earliest memory I have of
Roughly what year would that be, Martin?
Sorry?
Roughly what year would that have been?
Oh, it'd been it'd be around 70, 72, I'd say,
Okay.
Around that time, yeah.
And then you started school in Ballymakenny and moved to Harestown. And what year was that?
Moved to Hairston School, yeah.
What year?
A new school opened.
Okay.
And yeah, we had, you probably have to thank Joe Carroll there at Hairston School, because he was into football in a big way and that, and he had myself and in my class at the time, Declan Healy, Jimmy Barrell, Aidan Lamb, we're all managed the football, and he'd bring us up the field at the back, and every break would be able to kicking the ball and playing football and that, we loved it,
And in them years, would you have played against other schools, or would you be just playing on your own out the back?
No, we'd been just playing our own out the back, and there was a draw the league on then. It would have been under 12 or something like that, Every year we get to the final, under 11, 12, and now we get to the final. But Han Street would beat us. They would consist of the Blues at the time.
Right, okay.
Made up of Blues players and that. We always get to the final, but we'd be beaten in that,
Okay. So, and that was with Naomh Mairtin now, or school?
Sorry, Fran?
Was that with Naomh Mairtin?
Oh, that was with Naomh Mairtin, yeah.
Okay. And had you a decent team then, under 14, 16 or 18? Do you remember any of those on the way up?
Yeah, well, remember I remember back years ago, it was under 12 and under 14 getting player of the year at the Martins reunion dance in the Grove and the Lear. I got for under 14, I think Jimmy Barrett got for under 12. And I think we were made up that day.
Yeah.
The biggest highlight of my career at that time, like, you know. And I think, you know, Jimmy Shevlin brought us everywhere.
Yeah.
Jimmy Shevlin would pick us up. I used to walk down across the fields. Jimmy Shevlin would say to me, Martin, I'll pick you up with the tree. I'd walk down across the fields, hail, rain or snow, with my gear on my back, maybe a pair of wellies, and we change into shoes below it around the road. Go off with Jimmy, play a game, come back, maybe a glash and rain, drop to the tree, walk back home again. I did it all for the love of football, like, you know, I love the game.
Yeah.
You know, man, I wouldn't change that in that way too. I'd probably do it all again, like, you know.
You'd love to do it all again, yeah, wouldn't we all?
Yeah. Going back the clock.
Very good, very good. And so, when your first memories of watching the men's team, I suppose, whenever that was, like, who do you remember on the team? You've told us about the save of the year. Do you remember any other players catching your eye back in the time before you were actually on the team?
Before I was actually on the team, Paddy Sullivan would be a guy that I looked up to big time in that, you know. You know, Paddy, and I always thought, I remember looking at him playing, and God, he used to catch the ball nearly out of the clouds, like, you know. It's one thing I remember about him. He was a great handsman with that.
He was a bit modest himself last week on the show.
Paddy, yeah.
But he was a player, obviously, you looked up to then.
Yeah, I would have had looked up to then. Yeah. He was, you know, he'd bring you along and he'd give you words of encouragement in the dressing room and all that, like, you know, too, when I was, before he got on the other team, like, you know, I'd be getting out a little bit of a run now and again, like, you know, when they're coming up to the 1980 and that, like, you know.
Okay. And so when you finally broke through, then did a couple of young lads come onto the team with you? Like, was there a batches coming through at the same time, or were you the fresh faced guy breaking into the scene?
Well, no, there'd been myself, Declan Healy, Jimmy Barrell. We've been all coming in at the same time, Aidan Lamley, you know.
And did that Did that make it a bit easier?
Oh, it did, yeah. You know, I kind of grew up playing with those guys and that, you know, and it was easier coming into the men's team as such. Like, you know, you knew some lads in the dressing room already, like, you know.
Okay.
So,
and when exactly did you make your debut?
my first junior game was a championship game. Actually, I got on to the final in 1980.
The final?
Sorry?
The final?
The final, I started, yeah.
Who's
on the final, yeah. Sorry, Fran?
Whose position did you take in the final to make your debut?
I was hoping you wouldn't ask me that, Fran. Look, it was. I think it was Dick McCormick's.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was Dick's corner forward. I started. Yeah, it was against the Westerns in Castlebanium.
Okay.
And again, I would have been only getting bits of games beforehand. Like, you know, I wouldn't have been the starter. Like, you know.
Right.
I still don't know how I really got started, but I remember it would have been Jimmy Shelvin and your father Don was over the team and that.
Hey.
That time. I remember that day of the final in the dressing room. Your father, he come over and he sat beside me and he says, Martin, look, see, don't worry about it. See, at your first start, you'll be grand, he said, like, you know. And I was just thinking back there now, like, when, you know, the way you have people coming in giving massages and that, like, you know, to rub on the legs and that. Well, the guys them days was your father, Don, and Jimmy Shelvin. Just roll up the sleeves, whatever bit of oil they'd have, just rub on the legs and Happy it.
That was the warm-up massage.
That was the warm-up. That was the warm-up massage, yeah. Yeah, that was it. A few snaps and then out you go.
What was the football like in them days?
The football it wouldn't have been the fastest. It was more or less just catch and kick those days, you know. And it'd be more physical. You'd have guys that wanted, like if you were young for like those days, you'd have the more mature guys and other teams trying to hit you to stop you or scare you, like, you know. You're trying to put you off your game. Actually, I remember that the man that was marking me that day, he said to me, if you cross that line again, see, I'll break your leg, he said to me. That's exactly what he said to me. I'm years after that, like, you know. And I remember I said it to him, and he laughed about it. See, I had to threaten you some way, he said, because I kept running around. You know, I wouldn't then get close to me. There were interesting times then, like, you know.
So it was a good debut because you actually won the final that day, didn't you? And that was part of the Invincible year.
Yeah. Yeah, won all competitions that year, 1980. Yeah. So it was a good year. Already, you know? Yeah, it's a good year.
And then after that, then going up, after 1980, then how did the next few years progress? Did you keep your place on the team, or you were still that bit younger? Or what was your memories kind of building up then?
Yeah, well, 1981 was the first year up intermediate, and I held my place in the team then. I think I was starting midfield or something then during the year on that with Paddy Sullivan, Arnold Healy, one of the other. And I remember we played the Mockers in the championship that year. I went to a second replay against the Mockers. The first game was a draw, second game was a draw, went to extra time, draw match, so I went to a third game.
Right.
I think the piece of point, I think the Mockers actually went senior that year, they won.
So you were thereabouts, you had a strong enough side then?
Yeah, like, you know, there's good lads in the team, there's good blend of young lads, you know, plenty of running in them and that, like, you know.
Right,
and sorry for that?
How was training? What was training?
Training was totally different than what goes on now. You might go out, you go to training and you go out and you would just kick the ball around. You might do a little bit of running, which mostly would be laps. Then have a bit of a game, and that would be more or less it again, you know.
Okay.
You play kicking a lot of ball, all right, you know, but not so much. You wouldn't be doing many sprints or anything like that. You all just laps at the time, you know.
Was there any good trainers or bad trainers in your time in those early 80s that sticks out?
Well, I know Noel Barrell did used to train us and that, you know. They're just going back to the minor actually in '78 and that. Mickey Ward from Cullen would have trained us.
Okay.
That was tough training. That was a bit of everything. He was really ahead of himself at that time. Like, you know, he'd have the sprints laid out, he'd have all the cones laid out, you know, and it'd be organised training on that, you know.
And were you joined up with Cullen?
We were joined up with Naomh Mairtin, Cullen and Tully Allen.
Okay.
There's 2 guys from Tully Allen, I'd say 4 or 5 maybe from Cullen, the rest was Martin's, like, you know.
Okay. And you won the championship that year?
Yeah, in '78 we won the minor championship in Drogheda before Louth and Kerry in the All-Ireland final, one final. I remember that was my highlight at that time. Like, you know, Drogheda was absolutely packed. Must have been 20,000 in Drogheda before Louth and Kerry played after us, like, you know.
And how was that, a young guy, a minor, how was the nerves that day? You'd be only with a big game like that on after you, I'm sure you were excited.
Yeah, I've been only 16. I've been only 16 then, like, you know, but I felt grand. Once I get out, like, I don't really feel that nervous out playing, like, you know. I actually do anything else and I would be nervous. But out in the field to play, I feel comfortable enough.
Right.
mightn't look at the times, but I didn't feel comfortable enough.
That was a great occasion for you all at that age to play in front of a big game like that.
Yeah, it was great. It was the highlight that year anyway. Like, to watch the Kerrys play, like the Jack O'Shea's, Bomber Liston, Mike Sheehy, all those guys were playing after us. And it was a great game to watch. Like, and they were looking to beat like that day.
Right, brilliant. That's a great memory to have, especially with your club as well.
Yeah, it's a good memory. Yeah.
Yeah. And then bringing us up to like 1986, I think is where it went close that year. Is that right?
Yeah, 1986. We got to the final, the intermediate final against Clogherhead. Rednuts. The final was in Dunleer. It was a draw match. First game was a draw match.
Right.
And they went to a replay. I think it was a fortnight after that, and there was a gale force win the second day. And I know they played with the win and they got something like 10 or 12 points up on us at half time. We put it back, I think, to 3 or 4 points in the end and just couldn't get there,
Okay. Have you anything to tell us about the first drawn game?
Yeah, I was marking Dennis Callagher at the time, and I heard him asking the ref, was there a long left? And the ref said, there's only a half a minute left. So I was put back, centre half back, marking Dennis Callagher at the time. And I said to myself, looks like we must be better with 10 points instead of 1 or whatever,
Yeah.
So we got a sideline ball over on the press side, and Tom Rooney took the kick to Peter McCullough, who's cousin of yours.
Yeah.
And then I went running up the middle, and Peter laid it on to me, and I would say it was 20 yards out. Anyway, I took the shot straight into Rooney.
I heard 30 yards.
It gets longer every year. It gets bigger every year, but that's what happened anyway. And the amount of car people that came over to me after that and said, gave out hell to me after annoying, disturbing all the holidays all the time. It all planned to go away. Like, and the replay was out, couldn't go anymore. All it was just one of those lucky kicks at the time.
Yeah, unfortunately, then we couldn't capitalise on the replay.
Yeah, no, Paddy Sullivan was actually full forward that day. And I seen Paddy, he pulled your man, Tom Mattis, the full back over to one side. And I was in for the opposite side and was lucky with it. Big white goals.
Very good, very good. And then little birdie tells me then Clogherhead was a bit envious of your talents, and it was kind of maybe made a little approach over the winter that year. Would that be our exclusive that we were talking about?
Well, yeah, not many people know that, Brad.
But what happened, Mark?
The following year in 87, we were beaten the first round of the championship by RD, which means we're relevant, But I know early in the season, Clogher approached me to see what I transferred them.
Right.
At the time, like, I said to myself, this was a big thing, I never thought anyone would ever ask me to go and play for anyone else, but at the time, Clogher was going well, we're up senior, and how would cross your mind, would the Martins ever get senior, coming so close a few times and not just getting there,
Yeah.
But the Clogher boys actually, with a good chat with them, remember well, a good chat with the man and 2 guys, and they said, look, Martin, we will offer you a job in Everton. No problem. And I said, look, I'll think about it. But deep down, I said, I'm a Martins man. I probably won't do it.
You'd never set foot in Posterboy.
Never set foot in Posterboy again, yeah. But look, they came back to me a second time then. See what I changed my mind before the transfers came in the next year. And I said, sorry, but thanks very much for the offer, but I'm a Martins man, I just couldn't do it. So
now we know why you were so keen to always beat the Dreadnoughts, Martin.
That's it, Lloydie. That's it. You missed the point there.
So Martin, that brings us on, I suppose, to 88, which was, goes down in folklore in the club. Would that have played a part of motivation for you the following year with everything that went on with the to and fro, and will I go, will I not go? Talk to me about 88.
Yeah, look, it definitely would. It would drive you on a bit, to make you go out and play that extra bit and train that extra bit harder, to try and win the championship, Look, 88, those days it was knockout bases, championship knockout. Once you're beaten, you're gone, So the first year in 80, the first game in 88 in the championship, we played against Cullen. And they'd be local rivals here, and we beat Cullen. The team was playing well enough, we're all going very good at the time, and that, and then it came to the semi-final. We played Hunterston, which had a lot of cousins playing on that team. We had a fight there in that game, but we beat them as well. And it led us against the Malachis in the final. The strange thing about it was that year there were all teams that wore the red jerseys. Cullen was red, Hunterston was red, Malachis was red. It's just a strange thing, the way it all happened that way.
Yeah, that was some coincidence. And I believe Con Sands came in 88. Tell me about his impact.
Yeah, Con, it was John Roach who had been the manager. Nicky Fitz and Noel Barr was there. Noel had been in the train, wasn't that? And Brian Con had been playing senior football with the Falcons. He knew what it was like to win. He won championship medals there with the Falcons back every year it was. In 84, I think it was 83, 84. And decided to ask Con. Con was delighted at the time to come in and help us out, And he just added a bit of bite into the training, a bit of toughness and that. And more or less saying, if you're standing there, don't let anyone else take the spot. That's your spot. Don't be afraid. Kind of be the type of guy that would kind of hit first and ask questions later, not intentionally, hit a guy, but just hold your own.
Yeah, and maybe that. Well, I'm sorry, Martin.
No, and he did. He added a bit of bite and a bit of true grit into the team and that, He did a lot of speed up on his training. Remember, he had us sprinting up and down the length of the field and that, and he's always saying the first 5-10 yards is fight in any game. Once you get the first 5-10 yards, you get out in front, you won't be caught. You shouldn't be caught.
Yeah, and I suppose that, on top of that winning mentality was coming, as you say, from Terran Feck. And tell me a little bit about, obviously you go up senior in 89, there's some really, really excellent footballers. And tell me a little bit about the rival teams at that time and some of the players that would stand out in your mind in the opposition.
In 89?
No, well, just, I suppose, in general. So, you have, I suppose, you mentioned Cullen. Yeah.
Yeah, you'd have Cullen. Yeah, you would have had Cullen. Bannon would have been another team. Hunterstown would have had a good team at the time in that, There's the likes of Desi Levens there, good football, RD. There's a few teams there. There was nothing between us, It's just a bit of look at the days how you won or lost,
So in 89, then Martin, you go up. You play Cooley. Tell me about that. Cooley would have been a really, really strong team at that time. And listen, weren't too far away that first year up.
First year up, Lonnie, we should have beaten Cooley. We played them in the championship in I think it was in the semi-final, on Haggiston. And the Cooley was a star-studded team at the time, the McCarvers, Tauntons, all the big guys playing at the time, Rafferty's. And first game, we had them beaten. We had them beaten the first day, actually, except Colin McCarver got on a run up the field, went up and got the equalising point. So it went to a replay then, and I think actually he got the winning point in the replay. But Tom Rooney was playing full forward for us. I think Tom scored 2 or 3 goals by Flagger, like, you know. The time, like, Tom was a good footballer. Like, he didn't go around you, he went through you straight at the time. You know, you look at the likes of Kevin Lamb there, Jimmy Barrell and that, you know, all the Healy's, like, you know, all big strong guys, like, you know, but we're very unlucky. We should have actually beaten Cooley that year. He could have won the senior championship that year then.
Yeah, yeah. And tell me about your own role in them times, Martin, with the Jocks. Would you, you know, you're well known for playing kind of all over the field and being very versatile. You know, in that intermediate winning team 88 and then into 89, what was kind of your position, or where would you have been lining out normally? Or
well, in 88, I'd have played on the 40 most of that year, midfield to 40, like, you know, and probably that was because we had no real natural scorers and that, like, you know, not saying now I was a natural scorer, but I could get the odd points too, like, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, that was really the reason. But my favourite spot to play would be at number 6.
Okay.
It would be my favourite spot, number 6, yeah, because you can attack from there and you can kind of rule the game from there too, like, you know.
And you spoke earlier about marking Dino Kelleher from Clogher. You were saying he was a bit of a handful.
Dino was a handful, yeah. Dino would have been a few inches taller than me, and he'd both feet. He would great energy in him, big athletic guy, like, you know, well able to run, take you on, could score with both feet. He's the type of guy that you would learn an awful lot often by marking, like, you know.
Yeah.
You know, he was very quick and he thought very quick on his feet, like, you know, he was a handful.
And going into games like that, Martin, when you knew who you're going to pick up in the opposition, talk to me a little bit about your preparation. Would you be studying, you know, sort of who you're up against, or thinking about beforehand? Or
yeah, when I'd be at games, I'd be watching the most likely guy that I would be have to pick up in that. Like, you know, when there's a guy back, I remember in 1980, he was over the Laois minor team one there, and he said that, like, you know, in your mind, he said, you think of you winning the ball first of all, and the guy that you're marking. Then secondly, you think of him winning the ball, and thirdly, then you think of you taking the ball off him. Just to get your mind round about all them situations, like, you know.
yeah.
I think it did work to a certain extent. Like, you know, you'd be thinking about how you would do it, how you go about taking the ball off without fouling them, and things like that, like, you know.
Yeah, that's really interesting, I suppose, and it goes into, I would say, your coach's dream, that you're really thinking about the game, where sometimes you might see lads just turning up on the day and they just react to what you see. But I suppose in that centre back position that you said was you're comfortable, that was really important to have that homework done, and probably gave you confidence as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and when I did start playing centre half back, like, there's one thing then I said to myself, like, you know, why should I have to mark the guy at number 11? I said, if I go forward with the ball to attack up the field, that puts him in the back foot, and it'll get them, the guys in the line, shouting out at him, don't let him run up the field, like, you know. So it makes him have to watch me as much as I would have to mark him, like, you know.
Yeah, brilliant. Really interesting insight there. Martin, we'll talk about your career in the red jersey. I think you mentioned 1980 was your minor debut. Jim Quigley, I think, was the manager then. Is that right?
Jim Quigley, yeah, he's nicknamed Soccer. Jim Soccer Quigley or something, that was his name, yeah, from Dundalk, yeah, cool customer, yeah.
Okay, and who's the debut against, Martin?
Sorry, Liney.
Who's the debut against with the Laois Miners?
Oh, well, in the last, it was in Crow Park against Offaly. Was the first game there against Offaly. So, but games leading up to that, we would have been playing against the Ulster teams, like Down and Armagh and all those guys, like, you know, and you know you're in a game then, like, you know, it was a running game then when we played the Northern teams, like, you know. But Offaly was the first game in Crow Park we played, yeah.
Got some place to make the debut, and I believe you weren't the only Jocks representative that day.
No, myself, Jimmy Barrell, Declan Healy, 3 of us were on the team. It was great, like, you know.
And that was a fair achievement. We were trying to look up, myself and Fryer, they were trying to look up the history books. We couldn't certainly get a representation of 3 starters before. Like, so for a club at the time, you know, obviously 1980 win the junior, you know, that was a serious achievement.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. Like, I think I started cornerback that day. Declan Healy would have been midfield, and Jimmy Barrett was in the forwards. So we were all over the field, you know.
Yeah.
But it was
probably
great.
made it easier too, playing with your buddies.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Once you know a few guys, that it makes life that little bit easier. You feel more comfortable helping out and going traveling around and that with guys, you know what to do, like, you know.
And how did you fare on against Offaly?
Yeah, we beat Offaly. Beat Offaly by, I think it was 3 or 4 points. I think we beat them, which led us into the Leinster semi-final then against Kildare. And the Kildare team was a star-studded team that day. They had Larry Tompkins, Shea Fahey, your man John Crofton playing as well. Like, you know, they were all household names in Kildare football, like, you know, and then Tompkins and Fahey moved down to Cork.
Yeah.
My God. And tell me about then the progress then, Loud Senior. When did you make your debut with the seniors?
Loud Seniors started in 84. From 84 to 91. Then my first league game was against Fermanagh, playing left half back in 84 or 85, I think it was one or the other, yeah. It was around then, yeah, against Fermanagh, yeah.
And very good, and you had a couple of memorable victories. 1989. Now, obviously, I have a Mayo connection, so it stood out in my head when I was looking back. You bet Mayo in 1989.
We had Mayo in 1989 in the National League, yeah, over in Mayo. And yeah, that day I was marking Kevin McStay. I know Kevin O'Hanlon, I was cornerback that day. Kevin O'Hanlon was fullback. He was marking Lee McHale. And he's a huge big man, Lee McHale, and stand beside him, like, you know.
Yeah, and of course, you'd Willie Joe Padden as well.
Willie Joe Padden, yeah, that's right. That's
yeah,
right.
2 style icons, yourself and Willie Joe.
I wouldn't just say that.
But that was
a great experience.
Yeah, of course. And of course, that Mayo team goes on to the All-Ireland final that year and are beaten by Cork. But you know, you beat Meath, I think, the following year in the league. Is that right?
Yeah, we beat Meath. No, we beat Meath in 89 as well, I think it was. Yeah, Meath was after winning the All-Ireland final in 88. We played Meath in the National League in Navan. And we had Ken Riley got sent off with 10 minutes before half-time, which left us playing Meath with 14 men. And just played out of our skins, every one of us, like, you know, and Meath had all the big star names there, like Flynn was playing, Martin O'Connell, the whole guys, all playing Stafford, O'Rourke, all the guys was playing that day, you know.
Yeah, and you have, like, I was just looking there, in Division 2, in those years, you had Cork, Meath and Mayo, and they were the 3 teams that contested finals between 88 and 91. Like, it's incredible high standard these are playing.
Yeah, and it was great. It was great playing at that level. Like, you know, you get yourself up to it, and you just have to go.
And like, I mean, you know, that's in the day that, again, some of our younger viewers don't remember. That was straight knockout, wasn't it?
Sorry, Lane, you just missed it there.
So, yeah. That just for some of our younger viewers, you know, it's important to note that was straight knockout football, wasn't it, back then?
That was straight knockout. Yeah. You get one bite of the cherry, like, you know.
And I mean, you know, arguably with some of those results and the strength of some of the players that you had, you know, if there was a back door, who's to say you wouldn't have gone on to bigger? Like, I mean, as you say, you were unlucky in the sense you're up against a really, really strong Meath team in Leinster in those days.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Meath had all big household names those days, and that, you know. But Loud had great players those days, like the Handlons, and I have to mention Stephen Mealy in particular. Like, he was a great man to play with. He'd be always there. You know, if you were on the ball and you were running into trouble, he would come along, sweeping around behind you, take it off you, and gone again. Like, you know, he's a great head from Stephen, like, you know.
Yeah, and Martin, were you involved in the Loud v Laois infamous game in Croke Park?
I was, yeah. I was playing cornerback that day.
Do you want to talk to maybe our younger viewers what happened that day? Yeah,
look. I will say, look, it was a very proud moment going and running out onto the pitch that day. So that. I remember we were getting the photo taken that day, and I was standing beside Stephen Melia, and Stephen says, "Remember, I'm shouting out, lads, take a good look around you now, because when the game starts, you've no time to look around you." That stuck in my head that day, like, you know. But yeah, Laois was, that was a physical game. Even before the ball was thrown in, David Riley was knocked down with a punch on the opposite side. He was the other cornerback. And your man Russell, I remember Russell was reffing us, and he let the game get out of control, like, you know. He let the guy, Big Mar, in the middle of the field for Laois. He gave Seamus O'Hanlon a serious elbow on the side of the face, and I think O'Hanlon was concussed. You know, he's going around the field, I didn't know where he was. But then, as you know, Kevin came out off the bench, and he sorted out things after.
Yeah, just for a younger viewer, said it ended up being a full pitch brawl that day between substitutes.
Oh yeah.
I think Martin, you were in the centre of it, were you?
Yeah. And I remember the time all the players, both from Louth and Laois that day, decided that if you got sent in any game during the year, you get double the ban. Was some penalty that were given out to the players for the fighting that day, like, you know.
Right. And was there any history between Louth and Laois at that time, or was it just a one-off bloodbath?
It was just a one-off, like, you know. It was the replay and that, like, you know. I think Laois drew us the first game. We should have won the first game, actually. Yeah, it was just a replay, you know, and Laois came out really all guns firing, like, you know, really physical about things and that, you know, and not afraid to hit. Because you meant the ref Russell, he let things get out of control before he calmed things down, like, you know.
Right.
Just got out of it.
Another good memory, though.
Good memories, yeah. Good memories. Yeah, look, I wouldn't change anything. I enjoyed my years playing with Louth and that, you know. And I've come to the games and draw with my father and that, stand on the hill in the bank and draw it. I always said to myself, I'd love to play for Louth someday. And, you know, I got there in the end, so that was my achievement. Yeah.
Very good. Hugh, did you want to come in there?
Yeah, so I suppose then, when did you finish up with Laois, Martin, or when was your last
Finished
year
up in 91. Yeah.
So you went out in a high, digging a few Laois men.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And you mentioned Kevin McStay for Mayo. Was there anybody that jumped in your mind at inter-county level at your face that you just said, God, that was, you know, I'll never forget that. That was a really tough day at the office.
Yeah, I marked Fal Daly of Galway.
Right, yeah.
Real handful. You know, very strong guy, like, you know, but you know, I have to say I enjoyed any guy I come up against, like, you know. It's a good experience again. I'd recommend any guy, any young fella growing up to have ambition in his head to go and play for your county if you can, and you know, get up there marking all the top guys.
And what was the commitment like in those days, Martin, with Laois? What kind of training were you doing? Or
yeah, with Laois we were training 3 nights a week. 3 nights a week. We'd have to go. We'd travel from here down to Dundalk to St. Bridget's Park, was where usually the training was, or Dromiskin, one or the other, like, you know. And it's made things change. Like, I remember after the trainings and that, you go in for a cup of tea, there'd be sandwiches, there'd be buns, apple tart, everything there after training, like, you know. You don't see that now.
And was there great camaraderie? Like, who were the buddies on the Laois team, or any lads that you would still, you know, kind of be friendly with, or?
Yeah, look, to this day, like 99% of the guys I meet, we'd always have a good laugh and a crack and chat about the Laois game and that, you know. But most times when we'd be talking out, I'd be sitting beside Stephen here. I'd be real pally now with Stephen, you know.
Okay. Fantastic player.
I don't care.
And any memorable managers in that time with Laois? I believe it was Mickey Whelan. I remember you telling me before. Was he involved?
Yeah, Mickey Whelan was involved there. Yeah, and Mickey was a character. He's a real dub, like, you know, the dub accent and all that, you know. And remember we're doing a training when they showing us an exercise. You had to throw the ball, say maybe 20 yards or something like that. But Noel Mulligan from the Joes, he went, he took one solo in 20 yards, and Mickey Whelan stopped that training session, brought us in together and said, "No, see, if you can get away with that in a game," he says, took his hat off, head threw on the ground, saying, "I'll eat that hat now," he said, you know. But we all stood laughing, like, you know, what do you do for the crack anyway? But yeah, Mickey Whelan was an interesting guy anyway, yeah.
Kind of ahead of his time as well, wasn't he? Probably with training.
Yeah, he was ahead of his time. Yeah, he Everton was very slick in that. That was actually, when he was there, he had a course around the football pitch where you were around the course, you'd have to jump hurdles and everything like that on the way around. He had a bit of everything, like, you know.
Yeah. Very good.
Yeah.
So that was the Laois days, but fond memories anyway, Martin.
Fun memories, yeah. Frank Lynch and Declan Smith came in then towards the end of that, like, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, you know.
Very good.
Smith was a godly man.
That's right, yeah. He taught PE teacher in the Joes. He went on to train the Jocks then, didn't he?
That's right,
He stints at the Jocks, didn't he?
That's right, yeah, that's right.
Very athletic midfielder, was he, I think?
I think so. Yeah. I think.
Very good.
Yeah.
So that was the Laois days.
That was more or less the Laois days. Yeah, we used to play actually below in the Cardinal Fee tournament in Crossmaglen.
Oh yeah.
And we'd be playing against Tyrone, like, you know, and all those guys, like, you know. I remember Jonathan playing and all those guys playing, like, you know, at the time. And one particular game, we're playing against Town, and next the helicopter started up beside us and hovered over the pitch. Couldn't hear a thing, whistle being blown or anything. You know, just those things, like, you know.
You won a few FE Cups, I think you were telling me.
Yeah, we won 3 or 4 FE Cups. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's great. You know, you'd be playing against Tyrone, Armagh, Down, and Louth.
Yeah.
By times as well, like, you know.
Yeah. Brilliant stuff.
Yeah, it's good now. I enjoyed it all, I have to say. I'll do it all again.
Yeah. So that brings us back up to, I suppose, to with Naomh Martin. Then you went on through the 90s, kept continuing playing. Any memorable finals, semi-finals, anything there? Or?
Yeah, in 90s, we played the Pats in the semi-final. I think it was in the mid-90s.
95, I think.
Yeah, 95, yeah. Yeah, they beat us convincingly enough on the day, like, you know. They're very strong. That's a very big, strong physical team, and they're all younger type of guys too, like, you know.
Okay.
And the one that we should have probably won too was, I think it was 98, we played our Dunleer.
The one that got away.
The one that got away, yeah. It really hammered it home to me. When they were preparing for the final, I was coming from Phillipston back into Dunleer, coming home down, but putting up the bunting flags. That nearly killed me that day. And I think it should have been the Martins putting them up, you know. The only chance I had to get to play the senior final. Look, that's football, you know. You have to hit the good with the bad. You just weren't good for the day, and that was it.
They're the hard days, aren't they?
Yeah. That's right, yeah.
And so then you hung up the boots in the early noughties, was it?
Yeah, 2002. I played till I was 40, and that was it. I think it was the penny dropped, then it was time to stop.
Yeah.
Let's get clean.
You were proud to maintain your senior status, I suppose, after all of those years, and finishing up at 40. There was not much left to give, I suppose, at that stage. Yeah,
no, it was great, actually. You know, it was great to stay at senior, keep the club senior and that, you know, because the Martins was coming good, bit by bit, you know, you could see them improving year from year, going on and that, you know, you just hope that one day we would get there, and eventually we did in the end, you know, but it took 32 years of football to get there. You know, it's a lot, yeah, but there's good and bad days in that, like, you know. But, you know, it's enjoyable. Although some of them was hard to take, some defeats, like, you know, games we should have won, to let it slip and that, you know. But we wouldn't have had the talented forwards that's there in the Martins Club now, like, you know. It was really was in '98, I think, when JP came along. You know, he was the first really talented forward we had. You know, if we had JP back in the early '80s or whatever, like, you know, I'd say we could have won places.
He's still playing now.
He's still be playing, yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Do you want to take the next part there?
So tell us about the role then after the playing days, Martin.
Yeah.
After you hung up the boots.
Yeah, after hung up the boots was probably the hardest thing to do was to go to games and stand along the line and watch. That was really killing me. So it was very hard to do that. So because it was just, I just wanted to be out there and I'd be playing kicking every ball, standing from the line and everything that, you know, saying, why do you do this? Why do you do that? But I know no player was out there to make any mistake or whatever, like, you know, it's just on the day. But in 2002, yeah, I decided then we'd give a hand with the minor teams and that. Myself and Paul Posterboy and that. James Hill was over the team at the time. And myself and Paul did the training on that. And then the minor team we brought up to 2007, we won the Laois League with them.
That's right, yeah. Yeah, I remember those days, yeah. Unfortunately, I just missed it in 07. But that was a big breakthrough for the club, Martin.
Oh, that was a big breakthrough, yeah, exactly. Yeah, like, you know, the Barrel brothers was there and Brian McQuillan and that as well, like, you know, Paul Campbell. A lot of good players in that, you know.
Crouchy as well, yeah.
Yeah, and I just remember that night of the final in Termonfeckin. They were playing against the Bridges. That was Termonfeckin and Clown. They were the kingpins of minor football.
Right.
You know? Yeah. And I remember at half time, Brian McQuillan had never stopped running. I just remember looking at him and the sweat was just running off him. His work rate was just so high, like, you know, and he had a great game, yeah. I think Crouchy actually was midfield that game.
That's right. I think Brian McQuillan is still sweating, Martin.
Yeah, he is. Oh, look, he's a great gentleman. Great gentleman, you know.
And then after that, you kind of went on involvement with the senior team?
Yeah, that was in... yeah, well, actually, in 2003, Ray McLaren was actually would have go in and selected with him, and with Declan Smith as well, actually. We did a year or two there and that, and then, you know, we just more or less held our own again, like, you know. We didn't compete for any honours, league finals or championship finals or anything like that, you know, but there was an experience in there at that time. And then, back then in 2015, Jim Farrell came in as manager and got a phone call off Jim one night to see what I'd went and select over him and that, like, you know, and it didn't take me too long to make me wind up. You're really delighted, like, you know, because you could see the talent was coming through the club and all that, like, you know, and if we could give anything back to the youngest, why not? You know?
How did Jim sell it to you that night?
The Jim sell it. Well, I just can't rightly remember, but I'm sure he put it a good way anyway.
I think it was
he said he was coming in.
Scholars, was it?
Sorry?
Burgers in Scholars on a Friday.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, that's right. No, he actually would have go in and selected with him and that, you know, and then he said he'd be delighted, like, you know, to get. He didn't know me at the time, like, you know. I didn't really know him at the time, which is probably good. You know, we're just coming in straight in each other, like, you know.
Yeah.
And yourself then and JP were in the first year of the four of us, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was a learning curve for us all, that kind of first year, getting to know players and getting to know the character of players and that type of thing.
Exactly, yeah, that's right. Because like, I had been just kind of looking from a distance at that stage, like, from the far side of the wall anyway. Just
Yeah.
looking at, it's only when you're involved with players you get to know them, like, the character and that,
Yeah, it was different players you would have worked with 10 years, 12 years previous to that, like, so.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah. I knew a few of the minor guys that had come in and that, like, I know what that's how the football would be like, But like, Rome wasn't built in a day, it just takes a few to get going.
Yeah, like 2016 lost in a replay in the quarter-final, and then really 2017 was kind of that breakthrough year where we won our first proper senior trophy. We won the Cardinal O'Donnell that year, like, so that was a real successful year, kind of a mixed year on and off the field, if you want to go into a bit of detail on that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, to 2017. Yeah, we got to the league final. We played.
Got her again.
Yeah, but I just got back to the semi-final where we played RD in the semi-final, and the guys just played unbelievable that day. Like, they were just running on fresh air or something. RD couldn't get near us. We were winning every ball out the field. Every guy was holding his own position, no problem whatsoever. And I remember that day, going out for Benny, and Benny was playing number 6. And I was in there to Benny a few times during the game, and we'd drink of water and that, and I said, Benny said, "Jeez, you're playing great stuff," and that, and he said, "Thanks, man." I said, "Just keep it going, Benny. There's not too long left." So then after the game was over, Benny, the star game that day, after the game was over, then in the dressing room anyway, I went over to Benny in the dressing room, around all the players, and I came up to Benny and I said, "Benny, sorry, you're the man of this game of the day, you're the man of the match." And Benny says back, he says, "Thanks very much, Martin." He says, "See, I'm looking forward to playing in my first senior final level." He says, and I says, "No more to say than you, Benny, because you're the star right there. You're flying. Unfortunately, Benny didn't make it,
Yeah.
Which was, the whole parish was covered, couldn't believe what happened in that, let alone police and the kids and that,
Yeah.
I know them all well,
Yeah.
It just came out of the blue.
Yeah. It was very hard to understand for a lot of the parish, was absolutely real, and we had to kind of start preparing ourselves for a semi-final then, and it didn't feel right nearly at the time. We did a championship semi-final to prepare ourselves. I know in my own head it's kind of a bit of a blur those whole couple of weeks.
Yeah, it was very difficult for the players at that time, because Benny was a big part of the team. He was the character of the team. I know when he come to training, I used to have this slag him, like, he'd give me the keys to his car and his wedding ring behind for him and that, and I'd always say, "Benny, I'll put this on Dundee for you now. You don't have to worry about it anymore." But we have a good laugh with that and that, But like, Benny was he was a great footballer. Like, his heart of gold. And I remember watching him train and that, and maybe some of the 20-year-olds wouldn't live him in a run. He'd run,
The shape of his life.
Shape of his life, yeah. And Benny actually trained how he played. If he hit you a shoulder on training, he'd do the exact same in the game. Like, he wouldn't be just doing it there and then,
There was a memory I had, Martin, when you just said heart of goal, and you remember from the management point of view, we had the debacle about lads going to Electric Picnic, if you remember, in the lead up to I think it was the championship quarter final. And a big memory I have is Benny, being the generous soul he was, talking to the couple of lads and saying, "Listen, lads, I'll pay for your tickets," to try and get them not to go.
Yeah, that's right. That's right, lady. Yeah. That's how Benny was, like,
Yeah, and unfortunately, Martin, I suppose it wasn't the first time as a parish that we experienced, horrific grief, and I know Shane Whelan would have been someone that you would have been very close with, and tell us a couple of your memories about Shane, another man that we missed greatly in the last couple of years.
Exactly, yeah, like, Shane, I remember looking at the underage guys coming up and that, and Shane stood out because he was a really talented guy. He was a cool customer on the ball. He'd never get excited. And he was quiet. He'd just come along do his own piece, play the game, no giving out to anyone whatsoever, and that, and if anything went wrong out in the field, he'd be the first one to blame himself, so he wouldn't go blaming anyone else, But Shane, and in 2011, Tom Smack and me asked me would I help out with the Laois under 17 development squad, and that, and I said, yeah, of course, so Shane was one of the guys on it. I think he was the only guy at the time, actually. I used to pick Shane up in the house and bring him down. And look, he was a great character. He'd be on the phone now in the car and that on the way down, but he was still chatting away and that, But if he got down, he'd just play the game and he wouldn't make any big scene out of it, But he was totally dedicated to his football. He loved his football and that, and he was a bit of crack on that, and I remember when he was playing a minor, I asked him, I said, son, we used to play him in midfield, where's your favourite position? And he said centre half back. So I said, well, right, I said, we'll put you in centre half back, the next game, and he never looked back after that. He was a great reader of the game, great passer of the game. He could do everything, He's just one of those guys that was a natural gifted footballer, and so cool on the ball, not like father or his uncle,
Yeah. But I suppose, them two guys in particular will never be forgotten around the club, and their legacy lives on, and definitely has always been, I know from our involvement, we're always in the forefront of our minds, with that breakthrough, particularly in 2017, and you remember it well, the replay, or the Saturday evening, after extra time win against Clotterhead. It was emotion filled,
Exactly, yeah. Look, there are two guys just come back to Shane and Benny, the two guys that'll never be forgotten, the club, the big loss, the club, and more big loss actually to our families and that, But the memories will always live on, the club and that, they'll never be forgotten that. And I know that day, just going to the 2017 final, then, the team did celebrate, but not in the way it should have been, Benny was always there on that, and said, yeah, I remember the guys in the dressing room saying they won it, they did it for Benny, won that league for final. And I know it was draw match at full time in that game against Carl. We went into the dressing room then before we came out again for the extra time and that. I knew and in the dressing room that evening that we were not going to be.
No.
Talking and that, and how determined they were. There's no way the was going to be. The proof point.
Absolutely. And there's a lovely memory. I just remember the dressing room of the number 6 jersey hanging up, and it was, it was very poignant. And but certainly my probably lasting memory of that final was that moment of, as a team, just that kind of quiet moment we had all together in the dressing room is something special that will certainly live with me for a long time.
Yeah, exactly, Naoimh. Yeah, that's the way I think everybody felt. It was just, Benny was there in the dressing room. I was like,
Yeah. And then, Martin, the team kicked on again then in 2018 and finally got to that first final, and you were involved back-to-back finals, 2018 and 19. That was hard to take, losing 2 finals in a row.
Yeah, 2018 got to league final and championship final, and the Blues beat us in both finals, But I thought on the 2018 final, the championship, we really had a homework done on the Blues and that, and we had taken them apart, but unfortunately, the nice, actually, I didn't know in that morning of the final, actually, about Gav's being taken in and that, Gav wasn't feeling well and that, and then on the warm-up that day, Gallo had hamstring trouble, so nothing had gone right for us, leading into that championship final. And then, boys played out of skin for that and that, but there was a chance that the Blues always going to come back at us. But, there was just a few blunders made that day. We had it, we just couldn't finish it.
Experience maybe on the day kind of told at the end.
Yeah, probably inexperienced who just got to us,
Yeah. And then we won the league in 2019. Turned out to be last year involved with Jim and the coaching setup.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Jim Jim, after the first year, then you yourself and JP went back to playing, concentrating on playing, and then brought in Liney came in then, and along with this guy from Monaghan, Dave Lennon, who was a real character. I think I seen him behind training the guys, and he used to just walk across them and thump them and everything, walk them by. He was a real, he's the type of short fuse type of guy, but he was just there for the 1 year, and then Jim Davey went, then he couldn't do the next year, so Christy Grimes then came in, and Christy, to me, I think, came in with a different attitude. Christy had been there, won all the cup titles and championship titles and that, played with Laois for long years, and he brought a great mentality to the players and that, got them training at a high tempo, got them thinking on the feet, quick hands. You have to be able to think on your feet when you're playing football and that, and he put great drive into them at that, and got them to hold on to the ball and not give the ball away and make it as difficult for the opposition as possible, that, And Christy came in there for 3 years, and Paddy Sullivan came in then as well, but it was a great man for the competition and that, for putting out the leaflets for the guys of what to eat and what not to eat and all that. But Christy was quite happy out from doing the field of play, they can train on the field. That's how Christy was then was doing the stats, which is great, up on the big screen and that, I think all that came together in the end, and that's how we're getting to finals now in the end. The boys could see it on the screen, was sinking into their head that bit more.
Yeah, it was very professional setup, all right.
Yeah, it was a great experience. From the times when I was in there for 5 years, Jim and that, the training I seen going on then compared to back in our day when we were playing, it was totally different.
Yeah. And then we move on, then you're left, and the new management come in, and obviously as things happened, finally got over the line in 2020. Just before I touch on that, you lost your father there last year as well, kind of, was it April, May time, and we couldn't be at the funeral, but I always remember being outside the school there in Harestown, kind of giving them a send-off, guard of honour from the club, and it was a moment, it was a very poignant moment that lived with me. What did you make of that as a family?
Yeah. Look, to be honest, we couldn't believe the support that was there along the roads and the way on from when we left the house here, up to the church, the Himiston Road, up to the church and that. I can't thank the people who had enough of the parish, it meant everything to us at the time, That was, we died in the 6th of May and that,
Yeah.
But it was, I know people couldn't come to the house, and if there was no COVID thing, everybody would be more than welcome that,
Yeah.
But going up to the church and that, and coming out then, and we came down by Hairston School, there was people everywhere the road, but when we came to school, all the footballers was there, and it was amazing, it was lovely to see and that, words can't express just what it meant to us all,
Yeah, it was another sign of the club pulling together when family going through a tough time.
Exactly. Yeah, father used to do the gate, collect money at the gate over there for years, and he was the president of the club and that, and he was a real football man,
Yeah, that was my memories of Patsy actually doing the gate when I was a young lad, me trying to get in by him.
Yeah, look, he'd be over there with the father gone and that, and the Dunnigans now or the gate or whatever,
Yeah.
I remember him saying that, yeah.
And then the club finally got over the line and got that elusive Joe Ward, which was brilliant for everyone. Had you a few mixed feelings yourself on it? Just missed out, I suppose, or
yeah,
for everybody.
Look, first things first, I just over the moon that the eventually got there, no matter who was on the team. Okay, it would have been great to involve them. It would have meant that a little bit more to us. But we got there in the end, and we put in 5 years to making of that team. You say
Yeah. And how did it feel though that day and that night? Wasn't it just fantastic arriving back?
Yeah.
Twice finally with Joe Ward.
Exactly. It was very hard to just take it in. Did we win?
Yeah.
So close so often. Did we win this, or was it just dreaming? But
yeah.
God, it was true, and it was great for the powers, and I'm more than delighted for the players because the nights I've done many nights I've spent over there over the 5 years in the field and that. When the guys would be training then, especially in the winter months, I would head up the top corner. I hate to see me up there because I'd have to go up the road around me.
Flashlight.
The flashlight, yeah, with the muck and gutter and that, but I have to say, from 1 to 33 or 35, whatever was there, every guy ran around me, no one cut corners or anything, and all that hard work pays off. It has to come to.
Yeah. So you were saying that was the making of the team, as it didn't happen overnight, as you said. It came on, and it's brilliant to see that, finally getting over the line. So
yeah, and look, there's a very talented bunch of players there, and please God, they're more than one Joe Wall there.
Only the beginning, fingers crossed. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. To just keep stay together and keep training, and that's it,
Yeah.
And outside of football, Martin, then any other passions in life that we haven't touched on or that people might know necessarily about yourself?
Passions in life. I played a little bit of golf. I love playing badminton. Back before I really got into football big time, I had my own horse. I used to go horse riding. I hunted with the loud hounds. Show jumped in some competitions locally in that, and that mainly it. My main passion growing up would have been Gaelic football. Everything else sort of came second to that. But Gaelic was always my first passion. And it probably will be.
And is that something you would instill in the two lads? Obviously, playing Carl and Shane.
Yeah, well, look, when you do say that, just come back to my father when I was playing. I come home from games. If you had a good game, there'd be nothing said. He'd question you as to why didn't you do this? What did you kick the ball there for and all that? And I ended up nearly with a little argument over it. So I decided better off just agree with him in the end. But then I found myself doing it with the two lads. I'd say why did you do that? And then I could see it. I could just see what myself and my father was at. I was doing it to the two guys then. So I decided not to say, just encourage them the whole time, just no matter what, because I know no player goes out on the pitch whatsoever to make a mistake or give the ball away or anything like that. It's just one of those things and it's very seldom you'll ever see a guy go out and have a perfect game every game,
And would it be something you'd find it hard looking at the lads playing, trying, as you say, not to get emotionally involved or even worried about them? Or
yeah, look, I have to say that standing looking out on the hill, looking out at them not playing, you'd see some tackles coming, you'd hear the bang, and you'd say, "Oh God, is he hurt?" But I know when I think about it now, when you're out playing yourself, you get hit, the adrenaline's flying, you don't feel it. You just get up and you move on and that, but okay, you will pick up your injury. I know when I was playing, I got a broken collarbone and a broken nose, but you just get on with it,
I hope it didn't affect the superstar status, as Fraz said. Now the nose being broke, Martin, the poster boy.
But actually, I got the nose broke playing against Antrim with an elbow, jumping up for the ball. Yeah, collarbone broke in a challenge match with the Martins against Herman Flecken. I remember that day, Naomh Mairtin John Murray, he brought me out to the hospital and that, in the car, and I had to tell him to slow down. Every little bump was killing me. It was that painful. But look, they're the joys of playing football anyway. I probably do it all again.
So suppose going forward then, Martin, what would your hopes be for Naomh Mairtin? You've been there, done that, as I said, kind of in the intro. You've the connection, making a debut in 1980, the intermediate winner in 88, the Cardinal O'Donnell in 2017, and bring to the first senior championship final. You've been right the way through. Where would you like to see Naomh Mairtin go in the next couple of years?
Yeah, look, I think Naomh Mairtin is certainly on the right track. There's good coaches and everything over there in the club. Keep the young players coming along and keep them interested in the game. Like, you know, the ladies football team or whatever, like, it was great to see the ladies there as well. And the Martins, hopefully going forward, I'd love to see them win Mojo Awards. I think there's number 2 or 3 in them anyway, at least 4, maybe, hopefully 5. As many as they can get, but it definitely is a few more. It's just a matter of just work hard to keep the head down, to go in the right direction.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And Martin, then just wrapping things up, what would your kind of lasting memories be of Posterboy or Naomh Mairtin, looking back over the last 40 years? What anything stick out for you?
40 years. I'd have to say all the championship wins sticks well in my head, like, you know, which is great. Like, you know, it's great when you see a club have success in that. One other thing is, I remember the Pope coming to more or less, you could say, Munster Place, and that, you know, in '79. That was I guess, young for the time, but that was a big occasion there at the time. Another thing that sticks in my head is doing the Strictly Come Dancing with the club.
Yes, great occasion. Yeah.
Yeah, that was memorable. Alright, yeah. Not that I was any good at it, but I enjoyed doing it anyway. But, no, you know, no, I just love to see the club just progress, like, in that. You know, the best facilities over there in Italy. You know, you couldn't ask for better than that. And one guy in particular, the best support I have to mention in the club is Gerard Briscoe.
Yeah.
Gerard was there at the games, and I've just come back to the 1988 final when we won. He was the first guy over to me with the cup to get the picture taken and all. You know, I remember that well, himself and Paddy and that, you know, when Gerard was over. And, you know, he lives for the game. He lives for the game. And that,
He certainly keeps the lads all on their toes if they're not doing something right as well.
Exactly. Yeah, he's not afraid to say his bit, like, you know, let you know.
Yeah. Again, another example of brilliant supporters and people pulling together in the club. So, Martin, we're just about, I suppose, ran out of time with this. We could have spoke here for another hour, I think, the way things have gone. But I don't know about you, Hugh. I've really enjoyed that. Very enlightening on Martin Morgan and all things Naomh Mairtin over the last 30, 40 years.
Yeah, and he might have been a Dreadnoughts fan. I suppose that's the big takeaway from tonight, Fra. You know, we're lucky he didn't sign them papers.
Yeah. No, that never happened, Fra.
We wouldn't have had we wouldn't have been at a championship winning club.
Exactly, yeah. As Peter Fitzpatrick used to always say, once a clan, always a clan. So always a Martin, that's it, like, you know.
That's it. Well, listen, thanks a million, Martin, for coming on. It's been a pleasure.
My pleasure.
And you've been a wonderful sport. Thanks a million, and we'll see you all soon. Thanks again. Bye-bye.